Namo Namaha. Thank you everyone for being here. So this is our last talk of today. And my name is Vial. Most of you know me here. I'm German. I was born in Germany, but live in Spain and work in publishing. And I come whenever I can, I come in August and I spend this is my Sanskrit summer camp at Ananda Ashram. So I like to come and spend my summers here and study in this beautiful, like David said, beautiful Sanskrit tradition that we have here at the ashram from Guruji and Professor Sharma, who I never got to meet. But yeah, I'm very grateful to be able to come here and soak it all up. And so we've had such a beautiful range of topics and themes under the theme of Sanskrit, hope and unity. And we've looked at Devi Mahatmyam, we've looked at Kavya, we looked at Buddhist scripture, we looked at science, biology, mathematics. And I wanted to talk to you about a very beautiful mystical poem that many of you will probably know. I chose this because it was actually I think the first or the second Sanskrit text I ever typed up at Ananda Ashram for Bharati Devi, whom we miss classes with her so much, so we're thinking of her. And she was also the first person to ever teach me meter, Sanskrit meter, which is something I love and I'm going into more. I hope to study much more, and we're doing some meter classes and workshops here at Ananda while I'm here. So I thought I would talk about this beautiful poem, and it will be mostly chanting and meter, and also going into some translation and meaning. But so many of you will probably know Śikṣāṣṭakam because as I understand, or I believe, that Guruji was also very fond of this Śikṣāṣṭakam. Shiksha, Ashtaka is the instruction in eight verses. And we have a beautiful, the translation, you can all get the handout. Please feel free to keep it, feel free to mark, write something or to mark up the meter as we go along. And it's Sri Brahmananda Saraswati's translation that we're looking at today of these verses. And I think he was very fond of this poem in 8 verses. It's the author of this poem. It is actually, he never wrote it down. It was collected. It was written down like in so many, this is oral tradition. So it was collected after his passing, and it appears in the Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think. Oh, yes. So this is compiled into 8 verses, and it's called Śikṣāṣṭakam, and the author is Śrī Chaitanya. We call him Śrī because it's a term of reverence. And some people also refer to this poem as Śrī, or even Śrī Śikṣāṣṭakam. It's considered a very precious and, you could say, holy, and it's a very mystical text and poem. It's very deep and profound, and so we approach it with a lot of respect and reverence. And also would probably take one lifetime, if not more, to really come close to the meaning, and the depth of meaning. But today we'll look at mostly, we'll hear, as you know, I always like to share the sound of Sanskrit, so we'll be doing some chanting. And I'm also going to share some of the most beautiful recordings or renderings that I've found of these verses. And we can listen to them together, and they will be very different in sound. So yes, let's have a look. Oh, it's 21:03. It never goes into sleep mode. 21:03, 1975. You should never use.
Everybody on YouTube and Facebook now.
Yeah. That's okay, they don't have my computer. Okay, so, and rather than an instruction, we're calling it Śikṣāṣṭakam, but really, I think more than an instruction, it's a very mystical poem, and it's more a reflection, and it's really an absorption in the divine. And we're talking about Krishna here, by the way. So Krishna Lila is coming up next week. And we've had Devi verses, we've had Buddhist scripture. This is all dedicated to Shri Krishna. So this is the only legacy in writing that we have from this great mystic and saint. He's a saint in the Vaishnava tradition, Vishnu, Krishna, devotees. He's from the 15th century. We'll see a little bit more detail about him later. And he was a philosopher saint. He was also a social reformer. He was a mystic. And what's beautiful that I think everybody will get something out of these verses. Probably different people will get different people out of it, but just see what sticks with you. And that's why I would like you all to keep the verses and take them with you, because at some point they may become more meaningful. So we will look at, we'll listen to sound, we'll look at meter and rhythm. For those of you interested in meter, I'll go a little bit into detail. And of course, I think it's nice to approach these verses that are very profound and very spiritual, very devotional. It's good to approach them with an open mind, because they may have different meaning for different persons hearing. But so there's many noble qualities listed in these verses. So let's have a look. I think next one is Śrī Chaitanya is often referred to as Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And also in the Vaishnava tradition, it's actually believed he's referred to as Sri Krishna Chaitanya, because he's believed to be an incarnation of Krishna himself, an avatar, a manifestation of Krishna himself. So depending on who is speaking about him, here they would probably say the Ashram Chaitanya is the author, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great Lord. He's one of the key figures it's not that he founded this movement, it's not that he stood up one day and said, let's found a movement. It's from his philosophy, bhakti philosophy of devotion, and his promotion of the practice of the chanting of Maha Mantra, which is the Hare Krishna mantra, and the beautiful Sankirtana movement, which is, congregational chanting together of Maha Mantra, that the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, which is this Vaishnava school, arose. Really, he's sort of the key figure. He was born in Nadia, Mayapur in Bengal, 15th century, under the name Vishvambara Mishra. And if I'm not mistaken, there may even be, Shanta may know more about this, but is there some connection with the family name to Ramamurti Mishra? To our Guruji. So it may even be a lineage connection, from our Guruji at Ananda Ashram to this great, very revered saint, 15th century saint. So hopefully it would be beautiful if there was some connection. So he was born in Bengal, and he was a very gifted child. I think at age 5 he was already speaking fluently several languages. At age 10 he spoke Sanskrit. He wrote, and he was a Sanskrit scholar as of age 10. He actually founded, I think he had a school where people would come and study with him. He was a teenager. So he was very highly gifted, especially skilled in rhetoric and meter, as you will see in this poem, because it's very rich in meter. And smriti and nyaya, different philosophy. And there's beautiful anecdotes. So basically in the books about Sri Chaitanya's life, one of them is, you'll see here in italics, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is sort of biography, the nectar of his charity of his life, biography. And Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata is also a very beautiful text. And one of the stories was that when he was a teenager, he was so skilled in recitation, and he was also a shrutidhara. So if he had heard something once, he had perfect memory, recollection. He could recite it back. And there was a very famous, Naren probably knows all these stories. Well, many of you will know these stories, but I just love to tell. There was a very famous poet and scholar, Pandita, and he was called Keshava Kashmiri, I think. And they were traveling back then in the days, they would travel the country and they would have these debates and see who would win, who would outdo the other. So the poets would sort of have these poetry competitions. So he was coming through Chaitanya's village, and all the poets said, "Oh no, we're not available. But you should talk with Chaitanya." And so they had this poetry. It wasn't really a debate. It was basically that there was a Keshava Kashmiri he composed a hymn to Ganga Ma, 100 verses, and out of memory, he created this great poem. And then he said to Chaitanya, will you repeat it back? And he repeated it back to perfection, and he also pointed out five poetic errors and mistakes that Keshava Kashmiri had made. And then Keshava Kashmiri became his devotee. So he was a very unusual, a very excellent personality, and that's also why I chose Śikṣāṣṭakam, because I just wanted to talk about this great personality. He was very outstanding. Oh, what I didn't say, yes, what I meant to say as an introduction. How does it all tie in with Sanskrit, hope, and unity? I think, well, obviously Chaitanya, he had a very high level. He was a fantastic Sanskritist. We don't have a lot of texts or written verses, but you'll see in the verses they have beautiful poetry, beautiful feeling for meter, and we know that he was a scholar. And hope, I was wondering about this. I mean, there is hope definitely in these 8 verses, but it's almost more, it's pangs of longing. It's a hope for a state of union with the divine. So it's not hope and unity, it's more like hope for union. It's a yearning, it's a longing for, it's really pangs of separation and pangs of longing for union with the divine, with Sri Krishna. So we'll see that later. But that's why, another reason why I think this ties in nicely with the theme of our World Sanskrit Day celebrations. So these verses are considered essence of bhakti teachings, and many of you will know about bhakti yoga, really yoga of devotion. It's actually devotional service. Bhakti is not just a devotion, a feeling, a sentiment of devotion, but it's an active devotional service. And so here, Chaitanya promoted very much. I mean, after he was a young man. He had traveled. He had gone on pilgrimages across India, Bengal. He had traveled to all the holy places. He later settled, I think at age 16, he took sannyas, he became a monk, and he settled in Puri, Jagannath Puri. He settled there because his mother couldn't bear to be separated from him, so he agreed, even though he was a monk, and a monk sort of leaves behind all his family, obligations. He agreed to be close to her and that she could come and see him. He said to her, "This body is yours, you gave it to me, so I will do whatever you say." So he was a very devoted also to his family, to his mother, Sachi. And yes, so devotional worship of Radha Krishna, the divine couple, and the process of devotion that Chaitanya promoted and practiced all his life until the end was Harinama Sankirtanam. So Harinama is the name of Hari, name of the Lord. Sankirtanam is not just kirtanam, which is glorification, of the divine, but it's sankirtanam. It's a joint effort. It's a congregational is not a very nice word, but it's the going out together. And he would go into the streets, and actually they would be chanting Mahamantra. They had their instruments, their kartal, mridanga, and voice. No other instruments. So it was very simple back then. There was no harmonium, of course. Harmonium's not considered one of the instruments for Sankirtanam. And he also promoted, he said, this is really the best spiritual practice in Kali Yuga. This is why he was doing it. I mean, at the time it was very, he was sort of a rebel. I mean, it was very breaking with all tradition, like the Brahmana, all the educated castes and people, they were saying, what is he doing? He's a Sanskrit scholar. He knows everything. He knows all the philosophy. Why is he going like a madman through the streets? This posture, singing, dancing, and just all day long they would go without pause. They would just be days and nights and gathering and going through the streets and chanting Mahamantra. So it was quite. That's why he's sort of a social. It was quite revolutionary as well. But yeah, we can look at the next slide. So one of the reasons why is this practice? This practice is giving us hope in Kali Yuga in these times. And this is a very nice verse. I believe it's actually the final verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which would be meaningful, because if it's the final verse, it's what you take away really from it all. And nama sankirtanam yasya sarva papa pranashanam. That which destroys all papa, not really sin, all demerit. Sarva papa, all demerit, pranashanam, destroying. Pranamo dukkha shamanas, tam namami harim param. To that Hari, to that Lord, I bow. But the nama sankirtanam, the glorifications of the names, the holy names, and it's often said in this, in this Vaishnava lineage that where there is the name of the Lord is present. So that's why the chanting of the names has such an importance, because it's not a song, it's an invocation, and they say Krishna will always be there where he hears the sweet chanting, he'll always be present. There's another verse on the next slide, which says why this is, it actually says, really this, not just is this a good practice for Kali Yuga, it's the only practice. That's what they're saying here. This is in Bengali, by the way. If you thought something had gone wrong with my computer, this is Bengal because it's Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a text written in Bengali because he's from Bengal. I cannot read this, but that's the correct quote. Harer nama, Harer nama, Harer nama iva kevalam, kalau nastyeva, nastyeva, nastyeva gatiranyatha. So, by the name of Hari, the name of Hari, kevalam, only, and there is no nasti, na asti eva. There is no other gati, there is no other way. We can just take this in, it doesn't have to be like a rule, but it's nice that he felt the power of this chanting of Mahamantra was so powerful that it was really the biggest tool we have in times like Kali Yuga and such dark times. Also because we have very limited capacities in Kali Yuga, right? We don't have the same maybe astuteness or correct mindset. So the chanting of Mahamantra, really, it's a boat that will get us across, these turbulent waters. And I think the next one would already be yes. So I've chosen an audio. First, I've chosen a traditional recitation, which is very nice for the meter. So please, those of you interested in meter, do follow. They're going to recite the 8 verses in the correct meter. Very nice rendition, and you can follow on your sheet. We'll just listen to it.
चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निनिर्वापणम् श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनम् सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिः तत्रार्पिता नियमितः स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमीदृशमिहा जनिनानुरागः तृणादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीयः सदा हरिः न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि अयि नन्दतनुज किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थितधूलीसदृशं विचिन्तय नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदरुद्धया गिरा पुलकैर्निचितं वपुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रावृषायितम् शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे आश्लिष्य वा पादरतां विनष्टु माम् अदर्शनान्मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
This is a very nice rendering. Like if you want to have precise meter, I think, would you agree, Nadin? It's very, even between the pada, first and second padas, it's very precise, very good rendering. So, yes, the poem has, like we said, 8 verses. No, just next slide, sorry. Yeah. Great. Thank you. I'm going to give it away. If you don't want to know the meters, don't look. If you want to work it out for yourself, I just thought we'd look at it. So it starts Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Many of you will know this because we do it a lot in class, in Sanskrit class here at Ananda Ashram. So this is a meter which has 19 syllables. Shardula Vikriditam. Actually, it needs to have an M, so that's my mistake. Second verse is a beautiful meter called Vasanta Tilaka. So actually, I'll do these quickly. So you recognize the meters. I'll quickly give you the melody that we do at the ashram, because later the chanting, we'll do it in a different melody. So Shardula Vikridita is dum 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 da da dum da dum da 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 dum 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 da dum da da dum. This is a melody we use here at the ashram for Shardula Vikridita. It's one of the, of course, it's not a sort of traditional melody. 19 syllables, and then we have dum dum da dum da 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 dum da da dum da da dum 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 da dum da 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 dum da da dum da da dum. That's Vasanta Tilaka, 14 syllables. Then we have Anushtup, Shloka, you will all recognize, 8 syllables. And then here's a beautiful, we were saying about Samavrita. Samavrita meter are the ones that have the same number of syllables. They have the same pattern in all the different lines. The Viyogini meter is one that has alternating numbers of syllables. So you have 10, 11, 10, 11. And you'll hear it. He has 3 verses in that meter. The verses 4 to 6 are in Viyogini meter. We'll look at it now in more depth. I just thought this was a good idea with the meter recording to talk about it now. Then it goes back to Anushtup, and the final verse is it's a 12-syllable meter, Indra Vamsha and Vamsha Stavila. It would go like dum dum da dum dum da da dum da dum da dum 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 da da dum da da dum da dum da dum. So it sounds like the 11-syllable Indra Vachla, but it has a penultimate added syllable. Okay, these are you can see it's very rich in meter for 8 verses, right? And yeah, these are all beautiful meters, have a different feel to them, as you'll see in the next slide. Okay, now we've listened to a very nice rendering for meter with a traditional recitation. This is the most beautiful recording I could find of Śikṣāṣṭakam from an artist called Swarupa Damodar Prabhu.
चेतो दर्पण मार्जनम भव महादावाग्नि निर्वापणम् श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणम् विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनम् प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनम् सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्ण संकीर्तनम् नामकारी बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति तत्रार्पिता नियमित स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमीदृशं मिहाजनिनानुरागः तृणादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरे न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतात् भक्ति अहेतुकी त्वयि नन्दतनुजा किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधो कृपया तव पादपङ्कज स्थितधूलिसदृशीं विचिन्तया नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदरुद्धया गिरा पुलकैर्निचितं वपुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रावृषायितम् शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे आश्लिष्य वा पादरतां पिनष्टुमा अदर्शनान् मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे
Even if it's just for you to have heard this, this talk was already worth it. I think there's not much that I can add. But yeah, it's a very heartfelt, you can feel the sentiment, right, in the rendering. Yes. I listen to a lot of, I like to listen a lot, and sometimes things just stand out. You know, you hear it and you know that's truthful, or there's something, right, Naranji? There's something in it. He got it. So here, this is first verse, and I'm quite proud. I found actually an image that had a tiger in it, because, you know, the name of this meter is Shardula Vikridita. Who knows what is the name of this, the meaning? Shardula. Tiger, and Vikridita? Yeah, the gate of the tiger. Here I'm giving you a little bit of meter marking. You know, please ignore if you're not interested, and also please excuse, it's not very elegant. It's not very beautifully marked up, but I just couldn't find another way of marking the lagu gurus. So this is how I did it. So you can see the, you know, these are the lagus and these are the gurus. You will recognize from when we do in meter class. It's 12 plus 7, so 19 syllables per pada, per line. And then there's just something for the meter geeks. There's the coding of the meter in, you know, the masa jasa tataga is the kind of the code that explains the triplets, these triads of, you know, lagu guru. But anyway, don't worry about it. So this is the first verse, and the image actually is beautiful, because there was a story that as he was traveling through India, he was traveling also to forests and, you know, sort of jungle areas, and he was always chanting, of course, wherever he went. So he would, you know, he would go through the forest chanting, and all the animals were just enchanted with him. And there's stories of gazelles and tigers, you know, embracing one another. And so it's a little bit like Saint Francis, you mentioned the other day, Saint Francis, you know, the saint who these animals would come, because probably he had such an aura of ahimsa, you know, of non-violence, and just that all these miracles were kind of occurring around him. So this is the image of him with the animals. So I learned it in a very beautiful melody from one of my music teachers, and it's probably not a traditional melody, but I thought we would do it. The Devanagari is coming on the next slide, so I couldn't fit it all on one slide. So why don't I do the first line, and then we can do it all together, because of time, you know, we won't be able to do the call and response. So Cheto darpana marjanam bhavamaha tavagni nirvapanam. Can we do all together? Cheto darpana marjanam bhavamaha tavagni nirvapanam. Shreya kai, let's do all together for time reasons. Shreya kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamrita svadanam sarvatma snapanam param vichayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Okay, and let's go to the next slide to look a little bit. Sorry, this was a sort of PowerPoint cut and paste. Devanagari, and then we have the transliteration, and then we have a sort of word by word. There's some beautiful compounds in here for those of you who like compounds, samasa. We'll look at it in a bit more detail. Cheto darpana marjanam, the cleansing, marjanam. Cheto darpana, darpana is the mirror, cheto of the mind or of the heart. I've also seen translation heart. So it's a tatpurusha, inside a tatpurusha, for those of you. The mirror of the mind, and then the cleansing of that mirror. Then we have another beautiful compound, nirvapanam, extinguishing, maha, great, dava, agni, the forest fire. Maha, dava, agni would be a karma dharaya, maha, the great fire, forest fire, of bhava, of samsara, of existence, the cycle of being and becoming. Shreya, good fortune, kairava, white lotus. So it's vitaranam, the spreading like moonlight of the white lotus of good fortune. These are beautiful. As you can see, there's a lot of hyphens. These are all compounds. So you can play around with it on your sheet and figure it out what it is. It's always something inside something bigger, right? A little bit of grammar, because we all love Sanskrit grammar. And even in this beautiful mystical poetry, we can look a little bit at the grammar. Then we have vidyavadhu jivanam, which we'll see how Guruji has a beautiful translation of it. I'll leave it for now. Ananda, Ambudhi is ocean of bliss. Vardhanam, Brit, to grow, to expand. It's it's the growing of the ocean of Ananda, of bliss. Pratipadam, at every step. Purnamrita, the entire, all the amrita. Asvadanam, tasting, giving a taste, yes. Sarva Atma, the entire self. Snapanam, bathing. And then we have Padam Vijayate. Vijayate is our verb, right? Let there be all glories too. Let there be victory. From Ji Jayati. Here's Vijayate, Atmanepada. Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. For the, I really don't like this word. We have to come up with a better word. Congregational chanting, it just sounds horrible. Shri Krishna, for the Sankirtanam, for the chanting of the names of the Lord. So can we look at the next slide? I think, this is beautiful translation from Guruji. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which cleanses the mirror of the heart. It stops the pain of the blazing fire of material existence. This chanting is like the waxing moon, spreading the white lotus of good fortune over all living beings. And it is the life and soul of all education. It's literally saying, Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. It is the life of the bride of knowledge. So here he translates the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. This is Anandam Buddhi, Vardhanam. It expands the ocean of bliss. And it gives to everyone the taste of perfect nectar, Purnamritam, with every step, Pratipadam. The entire self, Sarvatma, is bathed, Snapanam, in this chanting. Okay, so and next slide. I just made a list of, these are beautiful, the compounds you'll find in the verse. These are really the benefits of the practice. So it's kind of, in this first verse, he's saying, these are the benefits of the practice of chanting. And you could say all chanting, because I know we've all had an experience when we come out of, we've been chanting verses and beautiful Sanskrit verses. When we come out, it feels like we've polished the mirror of our mind, right? We come out and we feel cleansed and fresh, and at least that's how I feel. So these are the benefits that we just looked at. Okay, and the next. So this is Basanta Tilaka, meaning the ornament of spring, I think. Again, 14 syllables. And when it says 8 plus 6, it indicates where the pause, the yati would be where the pause would be in the line, where you can take a breath. So it's 8 syllables, breath, or I even marked the yati. It doesn't always happen, but it could be there. And then you have the meter coding. So this one I'll just do alone, and you can. Would you like to chant this? We should chant them all together, right? So maybe I'll do line by line because this has a different melody. Nam nam akari bahudhani jasarva shaktis. Nam nam akari bahudhani jasarva shaktis. Tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kala. Tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kala. Ittadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi. Ittadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi. Durdaivam idrishamiha janinanuragaha. Durdaivam idrishamiha janinanuragaha. Let's look at some meaning. Nam, the holy names. Manifested in many ways. Your Nija Sarva Shakti, your potency. Tatra, there. Arpita. Niyamita. So basically, these are just the word by word, but what he's saying, first he's saying, this is the practice of the chanting of the holy name and its benefits. It has 7 benefits mentioned in the verse. And now he's saying, and you are so gracious, O Lord, that you're not even putting any restrictions on it, in terms of time and space, and we could be chanting it all day. And yet, and this is where the kind of devotional feeling, you find this in bhakti, or the bhakta, the devotee, this feeling of lowliness. He's almost saying, like, I'm not even worthy, because even though you're making it so easy for us, or for me, I am not yet able, na anuragaha, I'm not feeling attached enough yet to this practice and to this chanting that I would be doing it all day. But he was doing it all day. So he's sort of putting himself in our, so he's speaking very humbly. And, the title of my talk was more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. And this is coming in the third verse. But so here you can already pick up on the sentiment. He's saying, this beautiful practice you've given us with all these benefits, and you're making it so easy for us by putting no restrictions on how to, it's so accessible, it would be so easy to do if only I had the drive for it, or if I had the discipline. Yeah, he's feeling I'm not yet attached enough to your name. So let's see how Guruji said, "My Lord, in your holy name is all good fortune for living beings, and therefore you have many names, nam, by which you expand yourself. You have invested all your powers, nija sarva shaktis, in those names, yet made no requirements, niyamita, for remembering them, smarane. My dear Lord, Bhagavan mamapi, Bhagavan, vocative, although you bestow such mercy upon souls in their fallen condition by liberally teaching your holy names, it is my misfortune, durdaivam, that I commit offenses even while chanting the holy name, and so I do not attain real devotion. Nanuragaha means the attachment. It's still, so this is why I was saying hope, but it's really, other than hope, it's sort of a more, it's a sort of, in German we say Sehnsucht, I don't know what's a good word in English, but it's a sort of longing to attain that state, so it's, there is a hope, but it's tinged with various other sentiments. So yes, let's see, next one. No, forward. Yeah. So this is the one, how Devin said you should start memorizing verses. This is the one. This is the one out of all the 8, listen to it, sing it, chant it, write it, remember it, because it's sort of the essence. I think I would say out of these 8, this is sort of like the heart piece, and it also says so much about Sri Chaitanya's nature. It's really, it's sort of giving us his, his personality. And these images, by the way, I just found them, but I thought this was beautiful also with the tree. Again, he's surrounded by animals. They said he had this beautiful statuesque body. He was a very tall person, and he had very unusually long arms. So when he was dancing, he was doing the Sankirtanam, and he was dancing and lifting his arms, they would go, and he had beautiful golden skin, so he's also called Gauranga, the golden-limbed one, or Gaurahari, and in Bengal. And this is when he had already taken sannyas, so that's why he has, in the first slide you saw he still had beautiful long hair, but he must have been such an amazing, beautiful apparition that people just felt so drawn to him. And, the sound, he would move through the streets and there would be these kartals and mridanga and the sound of Mahamantra, and then you would see this personality dancing and singing. And so he was a very extremely beautiful apparition. And I didn't say should have gone before, but he lived for the rest of his life in Jagannath Puri, and around, the moment of his passing or his death or disappearance, as you may call it, it's not very clear what really happened. We don't really know if he went into the ocean. Some say he merged with Jagannath statue. He was always going to the Jagannath temple in Jagannath Puri, and he was very great devotee of the Jagannath Murti, and that he blended with, that he actually disappeared into the deity. So there was no body ever found. And it's quite mystical, and the story of his life. He died young. I mean, he didn't live to age 50. And so that was a little digression. Sorry, I just realized that was really important to say. Also, there's a lot of sort of miraculous, and there's a beautiful black and white film from back, probably from the 1930s. It's called Ni Mai of Nadia, and it's subtitled with English subtitles, and it's a black and white film about the life of Sri Chaitanya. And they also called him Nimai because he was born under a neem tree. So his mother, they used to, women back in the I guess in the 15th century, many women gave birth under a tree, like Buddha, right? Buddha's mother also, yes. And so she gave birth under a neem tree. So one of his many, many names, like with the Devi, Suzanne, Also, Chaitanya has many, many names. So one of them is Nimai. Okay, so this is the shloka Anushtup verse. And let's do it. I'll do it, and then we can do it together. Trinat api sunichena, Trinat api sunichena, Tador api sahishnuna, Tador api sahishnuna, Amanina manadena, Amanina manadena, Kirtaniya sada harihi, Kirtaniya sada harihi. Let's do it again, all together. Trinat api sunichena, Tador api sahishnuna, Amanina manadena, Kirtaniya sada harihi. And let's look at some of the meaning. You'll pick out some words that are familiar. Trinat, what cases would this be? Ablative, yeah, Panchami. Trinat. And do you know which form sometimes we use ablative? When it's a comparison, comparative, right? So, Trinat, then the grass, api, even, and sunichena, what ending is this? What case? Tritiya, instrumental. So it actually means by one, so the instrumental, by one who is lower than trinat. And they often translate, I said a blade of grass because the downtrodden grass, it's just poor grass, but yeah. It's a very humble plant, right? It's just a blade of grass. But Narenji, maybe it actually means downtrodden grass. Trina, or is it just grass? Grass. Yeah, okay. Trinat, api sunichena, by one who is lower than the downtrodden grass. And then taroh, who knows the stem for, what's the original word? Taru. So what is this taroh? Which case would you say? Sorry? Yes, in this case, it will be ablative because it's repeating the same structure, so it's a comparative. Taroh, then a tree, api even, sahishnuna, again it's a tribhakti, it's instrumental case, by one who is more forbearing or tolerant, even than a tree. And you know, a tree is pretty much the most tolerant. I mean, Mother Earth is the most tolerant of all, but the tree is very tolerant because it's just standing there. And you know, whether it come rain or shine, and all the animals that sit on it, and it's a very tolerant creature. So by one who is lower than a blade of grass or more tolerant than a tree, amanina, without pride, and manadena, but giving at the same time, giving respect to all others, but not asking for to be given any respect by them. Amanina. Manadena, this is also instrumental, I would say, yeah. Kirtaniya, this is the future participle, right? To be glorified. Kirtati is to glorify. Kirti is fame. So kirtana, ana, the suffix would be the action of, and of glorifying, of glorification. Kirtana, if in case people ever ask you. Sada, we have this beautiful, always, harihi. And let's see how Guruji translated. One who thinks himself, yeah, I like that one. One who thinks himself lower than the downtrodden grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, who does not expect personal honor, amanina, but is always giving respect to others, manadena, can always very easily chant the holy name of the Lord. So thus it's to be chanted. So maybe it's giving us kind of an ideal, the state of mind while we be chanting, and actually it's quite nice to apply to life in general. Humility or humble, a feeling of being humble and tolerant is probably not very popular in our day and age, I think, humility and tolerance. But so free from false pride and ego and engaged in service to others. And I think for this verse I chose another translation which we can look at, Bhakti Vinoda Thakura. I don't know if you know, this is very prestigious and beloved and very important part of the Vaishnava lineage. He was a Bengali scholar, government official, father of very numerous family, philosopher, writer. He wrote in English, he wrote the first biography of Sri Chaitanya. Sri Chaitanya, his life and precepts. And his translation, you can see him doing his japa mala here, his Hare Krishna mala, and his books. He has his books on his lap. I think he had 9 children or more. And so he who is humbler than a blade of grass, more forbearing than a tree, and honors others yet without any desire of honoring himself, is ever worthy of chanting the holy name. So this is a slightly different interpretation, but I also like it very much. So this is really how the chanting, it's a good attitude to have while chanting, right? And now we look at the next 3 verses are all in the same meter. And this is interesting because now it gets even more sort of metaphysical and profound, the sentiment. Viyogini is a meter that I think Indira gave the translation. It could mean, one of the meanings it could have is woman separated from her lover. And these are alternating syllables, 10, 11, 10, 11. And this is the coding. And it's beautiful because now with the meaning we'll see it goes into, so in the bhakti lineage there's very often this feeling of separation from this kind of longing for hope for union, longing for union with the divine. And so viraha I think is a sentiment, right? Viraha is the sentiment of separation. That sometimes it can even be so, even when the lovers are together, they're already feeling the pain of separation from when they will no longer be together. So it seems a little bit, intense. So, woman separated from her lover. Nadanam najanam nasundarim, nadanam najanam nasundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Kavitamba jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmanishvare, mama janmani janmanishvare, bhavatat bhaktir ahaituki tvayi, bhavatat bhaktir ahaituki tvayi. Let's look at the Devanagari and actually, it's so nice. Let's do it all together again. And this is we can do it from this slide. It's fine. This is also, I think, this is Indira's favorite, and I think she was talking about it. It goes very nicely with the previous. So let's do it again once more together, because it's Viyogini. Yeah, this might feel a little bit new to some of you. I don't think you've maybe come across it so much. But it feels very organic. Let's do it together. Nadanam najanam nasundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmanishvare, bhavatat bhaktira haituki tvayi. So this is everything I don't want. Kamaye, I desire. Na kamaye, I don't desire. What do I not desire? Dhanam, what would you say? Wealth, dhanam, wealth. Na janam, people around me, followers. I don't need. Na janam, na sundarim, sundari, beautiful female, a beauty, sundarim. This is all in accusative case, right? Because I desire. What do I desire? Kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. The meaning is, nor to be an expert in poetry, in flowery language, in poetry, to become an expert. Mama janmani janmanishvare. Janmani, when something is repeated, and you know how Sanskrit tends to not have a lot of extra additions. So when something's, that's meaningful, it's janmanishvare. It's lifetime after lifetime. I think it's a locative, not sure, yeah. Janmanishvare, unto the Lord. Bhavatat, let there be. Bhakti, devotional service. And ahaituki that's probably my favorite Sanskrit word. Hetu, we had that before in David's talk. Hetu is the cause. Ahaituki is causeless, without a cause, unconditional. Tvai, unto you. So let's see how Guruji translated. O Lord, Jagat Isha, yeah, I think it was there. O Lord of the universe, I do not desire material wealth, nadhanam, followers, najanam, a beautiful wife, nasundarim, or success in poetry with flowery language. Kavitam va Jagat Isha. Oh, Jagat Isha, there it is. Kamaye, I desire not. No, not this, not this, not this. I'm done with all that. It reminded me of, I don't know, it's Dhruva. Dhruva Maharaj also has a moment where when Vishnu appears to him after 6 months of tapasya in the forest, and he says, oh, now I realize, okay, I only want you. I don't want any of this nadanam material. So nadanam, najanam, nasundarim. And then all I want, life after life, janmani, janmanishvare, pure devotional service to you. Bhavatat bhakti ahaituki, pure devotional. Ahaituki meaning, I think of ahaituki as like there's no intention, there's no hook. It's free from you're not having any interest or kind of personal intentions in your service. It's free from that. Ahaituki. Okay, that's his. Oh, and by the way, yeah, this is before he took sannyas. He had this beautiful long hair. He would always have the garland, of course. And then in the background, you can see his associates. Some of them are called Panchatattva. It was the group of closest associates around him, and they are considered so holy in the Vaishnava lineage that they actually, when the Vaishnavas, when they do the invocation, they always chant the names of the Panchatattva as well, of the associates of Sri Chaitanya. You can see him here in this beautiful Bengali village. Okay, let's see the next one. This is the same meter. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram, Ainanda tanuja kinkaram, patitam mam vishame bhavam budhau, patitam mam vishame bhavam budhau, kripaya tava pada pankaja, kripaya tava pada pankaja, stita dhuli sadrisham vichintaya, stita dhuli sadrisham vichintaya. This is him dancing at the Ratha Yatra. It's a big festival in Jagannath Puri. This is the Murti, the deity of Jagannath, and he's in ecstasy. You can see him. He has this light, golden light coming off him, and he's depicted as this in this sort of devotional ecstasy and nearly fainting. So we'll see actually that the symptoms, the physical symptoms associated with spiritual ecstasy, but you can see his Nitai, Nityananda was his sort of brother figure who was always dressed in blue and is always seen associated with him, Nityananda and Gauranga. And so he's sort of holding him. These are his associates around him. Okay, let's look at the word by word. Oh my Lord, Nanda Tanuja, son of Nanda, is Krishna. Kinkaram, servant patitam. Mam Vishame Bhavam Budhao. We had Bhava before, Bhava, Maha, Davagni. So Bhava is the cycle of being and becoming, samsara. Ambudhao, another word for ocean. Kripaya Tava, by your mercy. Pada Pankaja is the lotus feet. We know this from other verses. Stita, situated. And this is typical, this dhuli sadrasham, like a particle of dust. I think that's very typical in also the gopis. There's something about, of the guru, of course, but also of a very revered or holy person. The feet and the dust on the feet is very special and considered very special, and it also has healing qualities. So when Shri Krishna one day, he had a very bad headache, and he had to get the dust from the feet of the gopis to cure his headache. So even someone like Shri Krishna, he's still, and I think Uddhava, who was also a very close friend of Krishna's, he prayed to return, to be reborn as the dust on the feet of the gopis. So this is all, very, it's very devotional feelings. We should not take it literally. It just means it's a term of reverence. So vichintaya, kindly consider. Let's see how Guruji translates. My Lord, O Krishna, son of Maharaj Nanda, I am your eternal servant, Kinkaram. But because of my own actions, I have fallen, patitam, into this horrible ocean of ignorance, bhavam buddhau. That would be probably locative, bhavam buddhau, yes. Now please be merciful to me, tava kripa, no? Consider me a particle of dust at your lotus feet, pada pankaja. And the next verse is also still in the same meter. Here you can see him again dancing, but this is a slightly less sort of fainting. You see all the banners, and you see the beautiful temple in the background, and you see the mridanga. But there's a few devotees already fainted, you know, in ecstatic feeling. So it's a very...
Is it painting or possession?
Oh, no, I wouldn't say it's possession. Well, that would be a good... I would consider that one of the symptoms of devotional ecstasy would be to lose your conscience.
Isn't there in the Gaudiya tradition the idea is this lila where you actually do, you know?
Oh, yes, well, we'll come to this. Actually, it's very good that you bring this up. In the next verse, we'll see. Because there's some sentiment, there's a sentiment of, I wouldn't call it possession because we kind of...
That has negative connotations, but it's...
It makes us think of the exorcist.
Same word.
Yeah.
Control.
And you've translated some of, I think David mentioned before he was working on a translation from the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. So let's just chant this one because we don't have much time left. Nayanam galadashrudharaya, Nayanam galadashrudharaya, Vadanam gatgadaruthaya gira, Vadanam gatgadaruthaya gira, Pulakair nichitam vapuh kada, Pulakair nichitam vapuh kada, Tavanama grahane bhavishyati, Tavanama grahane bhavishyati. Let's look at the Devanagari. So now I think this is really a description of the different physical symptoms of someone who is feeling the sentiment of devotion very strongly. So, and I'm sure you're familiar if you've translated some Narada Bhakti Sutra from Narada Muni, yes. So there was actually a verse I remember we were talking about, and it was describing the different physical symptoms, and some of them we were not so familiar with. So, but here it's so Galat Ashludharaya, by streams of tears. This instrumental case as well, Tritiya, of tears running down. Vadanam, mouth, gat-gada. It sounds even like what it is, you know, stuttering or faltering voice. Ruthaya, choked up. Gira with words. Pulakai, with the instrumental, plural, like pulakai. Hairs raised, you know, in ecstasy, because you could also say something is hair-raising if it's sort of terrifying or something. But this is when you get goosebumps. You know how when you hear something, or you hear music or something, and it really gets to you. Sometimes we get goosebumps. So this is the hair-raising in ecstasy. Nichitam, covered bapuh. Oh, that the whole entire body is, you know, has the hairs raised. Kada, when. This is the kind of the hopeful, the wishful feeling, you know, when will I experience all these symptoms? I'm singing, I'm chanting, and I'm not getting these symptoms. So when bhavishyati, kada bhavishyati, when will it be? When will I experience all this? Tava nama grahane, it's locative, right? In holding your name or chanting your name. Let's see how Guruji translated. My dear Lord, when will my eyes be graced by filling with tears that constantly glide down as I chant your holy name? When will my voice falter and all the hairs on my body stand erect in transcendental happiness as I chant your holy name? Kada bhavishyati, when will it be? And here you can see him, actually you can't see it because it's too small, but he has sort of tears running. It almost looks like a sort of Jesus figure, right? With the painting. So he's obviously experiencing some of those symptoms. Okay, let's see. So we have two more verses. This is Anushtup Shloka. It'll be familiar. Yugayitam nimeshena, Yugayitam nimeshena, Chakshusha pravrishayitam. Chakshusha pravrishayitam. Shunyayitam jagat sarvam. Shunyayitam jagat sarvam. Govinda virahe name. Govinda virahe name. Let's do it together, it's so beautiful. Yugayitam nimeshena. Chakshusha pravrishayitam. Shunyayitam jagat sarvam. Govinda virahe name. Let's look at some of the words. So I was asking Indra about this. So yuga, we know yuga, the appearing, so yuga, and the yitam, yugayitam and shunyayitam. And what was the name of that in Sanskrit? Namadhatu. Namadhatu, it's added yugayitam. The yitam means appearing as, appearing like a yuga, like a millennium. Nimeshena is the instrumental, right? It's, nimeshena is like a moment, but it's like a blink of an eye. So a blink of an eye appears like thousands of years, like a millennia. Chakshusha, from the eyes. It's ablative, I guess.
A PP, it's a past passive participle based on the denominative. So having been made to appear.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, having been made to appear like a yuga. Yes, okay. And I promised to look into this more, into the grammar more. I didn't have so much time to prepare, but yeah, yugayitam, so appearing, having made to appear like a yuga. The nimeshena, blink of an eye, seems like a millennia. And tears falling from the eyes, pravrishayitam. We had the pravrish in some of the verses we did, vrish, varsha, rain, right? Pravrishayitam, like torrents of rain. And then shunya, we know also from Buddhism. Shunyayitam, appearing void, empty. Jagat, the world. Sarvam, jagat sarvam, the entire world appears empty. When does this occur? Govinda virahe name. So viraha, we said before, virahena is tritiya, right? By the separation from Govinda of me. So you'd have a tatpurusha, Govinda virahena, separation from Govinda, me, by my separation. Let's see how Guruji translated. My Lord Govinda, a moment of separation from you feels like a great millennium. Tears flow from my eyes like torrents of rain, and the entire world seems void. So this is you can tell it's building up, right? I mean, from the first verse, which was kind of an instruction on chanting and what are the benefits, and then I think the further along we get, it's almost like he's giving instructions to his own mind, but it's also like a very innermost reflection and absorption. And I always feel that it builds up, it builds up, especially in these last three verses. And the Viyogini meter, it does talk about woman separated from her lover. So it's this feeling of, it's one of the five. We could talk for lifetimes about this. The 5 rasas in Bhakti philosophy, right? The highest rasa is that of amorous sentiment. Madhurya? Yes. So you have the other sentiments: shanta, dasya, friendship, saki. Yes. So this is a very high sentiment, and we'll see now in the last verse it becomes very evident. So here we have Radha Krishna, the divine couple. This is Indravamsha. It's a different meter, 12 syllables. I'll chant and then you can repeat. Ashlishya va padaratam pinashtumam. Ashlishya va padaratam pinashtumam. Adarshanan marmahatam karotu va. Adarshanan marmahatam karotu va. Yatta tatava vidadhatu lampato. Yatta tatava vidadhatu lampato. Mat prananatastu sa eva na paraha. mat prananatas sa eva na paraha. Let's do it together again. Ashlishya va padaratam pinashtumam adarshanan marmahatam karotu va yatta tatava vidatatu lampato mat prananatas sa eva na paraha. This is this is the essence, and this is the final verse. We can look at some of the meaning. And look out in this verse if you see anything that you think is unusual, especially in the gender, I will just say. Okay, so ashlisha, embracing, padaratam. Do you notice anything about this? So padaratam, fallen at your feet, at your lotus feet. But what do you notice about this ratam? It's in feminine. And then we have pinashtu, let him trample, mam, me, adarshanat, right? Drish pashyati, adarshanat, ablative, from not being visible. Marmahatam, what do you notice about this? Hatam, it's in feminine. Broken-hearted. Karotu, let him make. Va, yata. Vidadatu, let him do. So lampata, I looked it up. I mean, Guruji has a very nice translation of it. I wrote womanizer, but there's different descriptions, but beloved by many is how Guruji said. He is beloved by many. So not lustful, it could be translated in other ways, but yeah. And then mat prananata, Lord, nata, prana, of my breath, right? Prana is breath, breaths. Yes, because in a compound it could be singular or plural. The life breaths that run through us. This is actually, I think, how the gopis, Srimati Radharani refers to Sri Krishna always as the prananata, Lord of my life, Lord of my breath or breaths. It's hard to pronounce, breaths. Sa, he, Eva, only him, na paraha, not anyone else. Let's see how Guruji translated this final verse. May Krishna embrace this one who has fallen at his lotus feet. Or let him trample me instead. Break my heart by hiding from me, invisible. He is beloved of many after all, and free to do whatever he likes. Still, he is the only Lord of my entire being and life. And so why are there grammatical forms that are appearing in feminine? I think the reason, I don't know, there could be other reasons, but how I understood it is that Sri Chaitanya had this, he was such a highly sort of evolved devotee that he really tuned into, say, the sentiment of Sri Mata Radharani. So they say he was embodied, he was in a male body, but he could feel that sentiment of the lover yearning, for Radha, yearning for Krishna. And this is why there's a feminine form in these cases. Would anyone else like to add the grammatical, why we have feminine in this verse? Yes. Wait for the mic. Oh yeah, please.
Probably should hold my tongue because I'm not an expert in the Sampradaya whatsoever.
Me neither. I'm not no expert.
But my understanding is, at least in some forms of Gaudiya Vaishnava, people take on the form, as we mentioned before, of Leela, where you do actually become that personality. That person, and so that would seem that he must be, taking the form of Radha here as
and in his
or one of the. I'm assuming it's Radha, but many
Radha.
people take a form of
one
Radha,
of the highest devotee. Yes. Radharani, not a gopi, just.
So I would think that.
And actually, the Vaishnava lineage believes that he was an incarnation of Krishna, but with the sentiment of Radharani, so that he. And there's a beautiful image, actually, if we go to the next slide. That he was, that's really pixeled, anyway. That he was sort of embodying the two, the divine couple in he had this sentiment, and that's why he was such a special avatar. So let's just see the next slide, I think. Oh yeah, let's not do we've chanted all that's beautiful. Let's go to this, this one. Let's try this. So let's try this, this tool that we're given in this time of Kali Yuga, and that can polish the mirror of our mind. It can save us from this blazing forest fire of existence. It will spread like cooling moonlight. It has all these beautiful features. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And last one, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Beautiful. And I have one last audio that you may know. This is, so Naranji, please close your ears. No, this is Western recording, so Sanskrit pronunciation is not perfect, meter is not perfect, but it's a very beautiful and very heartfelt, beautiful rendering of Śikṣāṣṭakam from Gauramani. He's an American singer, kirtan singer, and Achyuta Gopi, who you may know from Bhakti Center in New York. She's a beautiful singer. And with this, so I thought we don't have to sit and listen to the whole thing. Since the talk is now over, I thought we could just let it play and sort of let it play out and just, take it in as kind of background sound. But these 3 recordings, if you want to listen more, these are very beautiful to listen to, and there are many more out there, and yeah. Thank you.
Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitarana Vidyavadu Jivana Ananda Mudivadana Patipadam Purnamrita Swadana Sarvatma Snapana Sarvatma Snapana Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana Harinam Deva Kevalam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana Krishna Sankirtana Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana
Bija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrushi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivam Midrishamiha Janina Anuraga Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana Harinam Eva Kevalam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana Gauranga Prem Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana Chinadapi Sunichana Taroriva Sahishnuna Amanina Manatena Kirtaniya Sada Hari Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana Harinam Eva Kevalam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Shri Krishna Sankirtana